So my name is Abigail and I decided to start this YouTube channel mainly because I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel really. I mean, who hasn't? But the reason why I decided to start now is because I just have to do it. And I feel like now is a good time to start because, I have a lot of free time in my hands. I am looking for things to do and for ways to be productive, and I feel like this is one of them. So, if you're interested in what I have to say and what I'm going to upload, then I suggest that you stay tuned because we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. Today, we're going to be talking about beauty standards. I feel like this is quite a touchy topic for me because obviously, as a black girl growing up in the UK, it's fair enough to say that we struggle a lot when it comes to beauty standards because we, a lot of us, struggle with this, I would say. Well, at least myself. I can only speak for myself, really. But a lot of us struggle with, beauty standards because we've been sold this idea that the westernized idea of beauty is the standard, and that as a black girl you can't really fit into that standard unless you have quote unquote Eurocentric features, which is like a completely different topic to talk about, to be honest. But yeah, we're going to be talking about beauty standards today. So my first question is, are beauty standards ruining our self-esteem? Do beauty standards motivate us or do they instead make us insecure? In my opinion, I feel like they actually motivate us to be insecure rather than motivate us at all. I think that kind of answers the question. I feel like with beauty standards, because they're so rigid and they're so fixed, it's hard to feel like you can easily measure up to them. And so it kind of creates, for a lot of girls, especially young girls, it kind of creates this cycle of trying to reach that standard and trying to attain that level of beauty. But the problem with it is that it's like a very fixed and very exclusive, I'd say, measure of beauty, because not everybody is going to fit that standard because we're all different and we all have different features, different looks, different weight distributions and all those things. So it's just damn near impossible that everyone and anyone is going to fit that standard. And so I feel like it just creates this perpetual cycle of insecurity and this chasing of beauty that is a lot of times unattainable. So yeah, one thing I have noticed about the beauty standards is that they're forever and always changing. 1 minute thin eyebrows are in, then the next minute thick eyebrows are in. And so it's why and how can we continue to base our worth or our self-esteem off of very fickle and mundane things? It doesn't really make sense, because one day it could be a thing where being skinny is in, and right now, and then the next thing is being thicker is in, and it's you can't keep on trying to fit into this idea of beauty that is always susceptible to change. It's not going to benefit you, it's just going to drive you insane. And then if and when you finally achieve that kind of beauty standard or beauty trend, 9 times out of 10 it's going to change to something else, and then it's just well, all the effort was not for nothing, because obviously if it makes you happy and you feel good about yourself, then that's a win for you. But if you're doing it to appease people and to please others by fitting a certain standard, it's not going to bring you any joy or any true fulfillment, Yeah. The topic that I want to talk about is the fact that beauty upkeep is very expensive these days. And I feel like the reason why that is because obviously the beauty industry and all of these companies want to exploit people's insecurities as a way to make profit. And it's the really sad reality of the world that we live in, but it's the truth. Like, you just have to be so careful when it comes to these beauty products, because a lot of the times you don't actually need them, and the way that they're marketed in a way to what's the word, highlight your insecurities and your perceived flaws in order to make you buy these products. So you definitely have to be careful. That's obviously not to say that you can't invest in your appearance or you can't look good, but it's just to say be cautious of the fact that a lot of these products that are being marketed to you are actually ways of these industries trying to exploit you and take advantage of your weaknesses or your vulnerabilities. Yeah. So next I'm going to talk about pretty privilege. I feel like pretty privilege is a very subjective experience. I feel like attraction in general is a very subjective experience. Like, what someone else, we've all heard this, but what is someone else's trash is someone else's treasure. What someone else finds attractive may not be what you find attractive, and vice versa. So I feel like attraction is very subjective. Sorry, my phone said 20%. But I feel like attraction is very subjective, and it's very dependent on, like, you know, based off of your preference, the environment that you grew up with, your background, and things like that. Sorry, I had to change my angle because my phone kept on sliding down. But yeah, as I was saying, like, attraction is very subjective, and with that I feel like comes pretty privilege as well. Like, obviously if you're objectively attractive, not objectively, conventionally attractive, then, like, I'm sure most places that you go, you will experience some form of benefit of being pretty or attractive to others. But I feel like for most people, for the average person, like, your experiences based off of the way that you look will be rather varied and will be dependent based off of the kind of environment or demographic that you're exposed to. And so I feel like pretty privilege is definitely a very individual and personal experience to each woman or to each person that goes through life. But there is no doubt that, like, with pretty privilege, like, you do get benefits. Like, there's even studies that have shown that, you know, pretty privilege does exist, such as, like, the halo effect, you know, which is basically where positive characteristics or traits are attributed to people who are perceived to be more attractive or just attractive in general, really. So yeah, like, pretty privilege does exist, and you can get benefits such as, you know, like, better dating opportunities, you know, maybe you get treated better by others, you know, maybe you get better career opportunities as well, you know, better customer service. Like, you know, we hear all these stories of people who are, like, getting opportunities or getting certain treatments based off of the way that they look. And, you know, it can be hard because obviously it's not nice to know that, you know, like, people are getting treated better than you just because they are perceived to be more attractive than you. Like, it is quite of a mind boggle, if I'm being honest. But I guess you just have to realize that, like, you know, your time will come, and, like, even if it's not the way that you want it to be, or in the time that you hope it to be, or in the way that you expect it to be, like, at the end of the day, life is too short, you know what I mean? So yeah, I find it funny how, like, beauty standards can just vary based off of the culture that you were brought up in. Like, for example, I'm black, right? Clearly. I'm Nigerian, to be specific. Like, in the Black/African community, like, being more curvaceous, more like bigger, I guess you could say, is like seen as the beauty standard, and it's seen as more preferable compared to like the Western beauty standard, which is more so to do with being thinner and being like maybe less curvy. I don't know. But then again, sometimes these can be interlinked, like especially on TikTok. I've noticed that like a lot of these beauty standards kind of interlink with each other, and like, you know, like for example, like if a black person is like deemed as skinny nowadays, it's not necessarily frowned upon as much, I don't think, because, you know, especially if you grew up here in the West, it's like we're aware that like thinness is praised. So if you're like a thin black person, I feel like depending on where you are and what demographic you appeal to, like, you know, it may not be seen as more of a terrible thing. And same vice versa with the other way around, if you get what I mean. But yeah, that's just what I think. Anyways, guys, this is the end of my first ever video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that, you know, you were entertained or whatever, you know, and I'll be back with some more content. You know, just comment down below what kind of content you want to see, and if you enjoyed this video, just make sure to give it a thumbs up, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and yeah, just reach out and just DM me. I'll have my socials in the description below, so you can reach out and just, you know, I don't bite. Like, I'm always open to meeting new people and all those things. So yeah, I hope to make another video soon. Goodbye.